You sense it, don't you? That persistent feeling that you're existing in a world that wasn't designed for you, as if everybody else got a handbook for life, and yours was misplaced in the mail. You see talks happen, like rehearsed acts, perceiving the desperation behind each laughter, the fear beneath every confidence, the crippling isolation hidden behind social success, and the saddest part, you've begun to believe there's something intrinsically wrong with you. There isn't, suppose I told you, Carl Jung, recognize something in individuals like you, something so uncommon that the majority will spend their whole lives without ever encountering a person who possesses it, a state of consciousness so deep that it upends the very fabric of how others exist. You're about to discover why your difference isn't a flaw, it's a frequency, and once you understand what you're really dealing with, everything, your exhaustion, your isolation, your inability to tolerate superficiality, will finally make sense. But let me tell you this, before we go into the first sign, what you're going to hear could shake you, because once you realize these patterns, you can't unknow them. Once you realize what makes you unique, you can't pretend that you're average anymore. Are you prepared for that level of truth? Jung referred to it as dangerous perception, and if you possess it, you know why already. You don't merely view people, you see right through them. What they say is one thing, yet what their micro-expressions are screaming sounds entirely different. Their tales tell of triumph, but their aura emits desperation. You receive what they aren't communicating more loudly than what they are. This is the first indicator. You interpret reality at a level that would annihilate most people. Reflect on your last conversation. While they spoke of their promotion, you perceived the soul-squashing concession they made to attain it. While they boasted about their relationship, you sensed the isolation they're submerged in. You never asked for this gift. It can't be shut off, and it's killing you, slowly. Because here's what Jung knew. When you look at this plain, you're a walking mirror, and mirrors scares the hell out of people who've spent their entire lives steering clear of their own reflection. You sense that tension in the air when you're with them. That's not your imagination. That's their unconscious noticing that you can see their shadow, the parts they've buried so deep they've actually convinced themselves don't exist. Your presence poses a question they're not ready to answer. Why are you still pretending? And instead of dealing with that question, they make you the issue. You're too intense. You overanalyze everything. Can't you just be normal? But you can't be normal, because normal equals settling for surface as real. Normal equals becoming part of the crowd delusion. Normal equals betraying the very talent that makes you who you are. This dangerous perception of yours, it's actually revealing something even deeper about your nature. Something that explains why superficial connections feel like starvation to your soul. And that leads us to the second sign, perhaps the most agonizing of all. You're allergic to shallowness. Small talk is psychological torture. Casual relationships leave you feeling lonelier than being alone. You require conversations that cut through the weather and go directly to the soul. You need relationships where masks are not merely optional, but impossible. Jung knew this. He stated, rare personality types live in constant existential tension. You can't fully participate in collective unconsciousness, but you can't escape it either. You're trapped between worlds, too awake to sleep, too human to transcend. But here's the shadow. Nobody talks about this depth you have, is also what keeps you isolated. Because although you're hungry for genuine connection, most people are more than happy with emotional fast food. They want comfort, not truth. They want validation, not growth. They want to remain safely unconscious. And when you can't, won't provide that, they feel threatened by you. Consider how many relationships you've lost, not because you'd done something inappropriate, but because you couldn't pretend anymore, couldn't laugh at insubstantial jokes, couldn't gossip, couldn't talk about the weather when your very soul was screaming to talk about why we're even here. This is not pretentiousness. This is survival. Because for a person with your level of consciousness, shallow interaction isn't just dull, it actually sucks the life out of you. You've likely also noticed something else, something that occurs when you're with other people, that you can't quite put your finger on, an exhaustion that's beyond social exhaustion, a sensation as though you're carrying weights that don't belong to you. That's because you are. And this third sign is where Jung's understanding turns nearly supernatural. Now we tread darker ground. The third sign, you soak up everything, not only thoughts or perceptions, everything, others' unspoken fury, their suppressed sorrow, their repressed longings. You're not only an observer, you're an emotional alchemist, unconsciously transforming the psychic garbage of everyone in your vicinity. Jung referred to this as participation mystique, in which personal boundaries break down and you become one with the collective unconscious. For most, it occurs infrequently. For you, it's ongoing, that depression that comes out of nowhere, sometimes not your own, that anxiety that tightens your chest, you may have picked up from the coworker who sat beside you, that sudden anger that puzzles you, may be the unreleased anger of everyone you met today. This is why you require so much time alone, not because you're antisocial, but because you must sort out what is yours and isn't. You must have silence in which to hear your own thoughts once more, solitude to recall who you are in the middle of the psychic din. But the ugly truth is that absorption can become addictive, because when you're drowning in other people's feelings, you don't have to deal with your own hollowness. When you're solving everybody's issues, you don't have to deal with your own. When you're the one who counsels, heals, the one everyone turns to, you get to circumvent your own inner work, until one morning you wake up and find you know everybody else's soul intimately, but your own is a stranger. And that's when the war really starts, not with the world outside, but with yourself, because to have this unusual personality type is to live with a schism that divides you every day. If you're identifying with these symptoms, be sure to subscribe to this channel, because what we're discovering here is only the tip of the iceberg. Hit that subscribe button right now. We're going to need each other for what's ahead. The fourth sign bites the deepest. You are waging an unseen battle between who you really are and who the world requires you to be. Jung knew that someone like you lives in a basic divide. Your authentic self is too much for daily digest, so you splinter work you, social you, family you, all calibrated performances, all draining, none of them authentic. Each mask you don is a tiny betrayal. Each time you turn down the intensity, you leave behind your nature. Each time you act normal, you support the lie that who you truly are is not acceptable. This division produces symptoms. Physicians cannot diagnose chronic tiredness that no sleep cures, your soul drained due to perpetual performance, anxiety that comes out of nowhere, your true self crying to be set free, depression that rolls in like mist, the sorrow of existing as a foreigner to yourself. You're not ill in your head, you're spiritually suffocating, because here's what Jung understood. The same thing you're repressing, your intensity, your depth, your unique way of seeing, is what the world is begging for. All the breakthroughs in human consciousness came from people who couldn't see things the usual way. All the revolutions started in the mind of a person who was too sensitive to accept the way things are. That's you. That's what you're here to do. But you can't honor it when you're broken into pieces. The fatigue of holding these pieces together, these false selves, it's not sustainable. Your body is aware, your soul is aware, and on some level, you know it as well. But something else is occurring, something even mystical, because as you're breaking yourself apart to conform, your authentic frequency is broadcasting a message, and there are those who are able to tune into it. This following sign is the area where Jung's work crosses into an area science cannot yet fully define. That leads us to maybe the most enigmatic sign. You know your own people in an instant. It doesn't make sense. You run across someone somewhere, anywhere, and in a second or two you're aware there's a frequency connection, a soul recognition, a sense of, oh, there you are, I've been looking for you. Jung named this synchronicity, but it's even more than that. It's a private antenna that only receives certain signals. When you meet someone who is working at your frequency, your entire system goes off. Time distorts, masks fall with ease. You are revealing things you've never revealed before, and they're nodding as if they've been waiting their entire life to hear precisely that. These relationships are uncommon. Perhaps you've experienced one or two in your life. Perhaps you're still looking. But when they occur, they attest to all the times you've sensed something more, but never had proof. You're not alone. You're not crazy. You're not too much. You're just rare, and rare knows rare. But here's the shadow. After you've known real recognition, everything else is starving. After you've been really seen, being invisible is torture. Your frequency no longer tolerates static. That's why you may sabotage relationships that challenge you to tone down your light, why you'd rather be single than fake it, why you cannot go back once you've had real connection. Your soul has expectations now, and those expectations are related to something even greater, a purpose that's been smoldering within you since before you could even call it that. But this purpose, it's not what you're expecting. It's larger, weirder, and more significant than anything you've been instructed about finding your way. And if you're not yet subscribed, do it now, because knowing this next sign remakes everything about how you understand your life's path. The sixth sign lays it all out. You have a purpose too large for one lifetime. Not a job, not ambitions. A purpose, something that sears your very bones, awakens you at 3 a.m., with transmissions too great for your mind to hold. Something that feels less like a decision and more like an assignment from the cosmos. Jung knew that burden. He said individuated individuals, those who've come to terms with their shadow and discovered their authentic self, have a particular responsibility. They recognize what needs to heal in the collective. They sense what needs to be expressed. They are aware of what needs to be created. But here is the catch. The very sensitivity that enables you to sense this calling also makes it virtually impossible to achieve. Because to do what you're here to do, you'd have to be completely yourself, and being completely yourself in this world is social suicide. Your calling isn't comfortable. It's not success by standard measures. It's about being a bridge between worlds, about saying what others can't speak, healing what others don't even know is hurt. That's why nothing ever feels like it's enough, why even your successes leave you hollow. You're not here to be successful, you're here to be changed, to awaken something, to birth a new way of living, but you can't do that while you're hiding. And this is where most people get stuck. They feel the call but are afraid of the cost. They feel their purpose but recoil from its requirements. They realize they're destined for greater things but opt for something secure instead. The question is, will you? Because there's one last indicator, one that decides if you'll be completing this cosmic mission or spending your life wishing you had. The seventh and last sign is the deepest. Your deepest wound is your deepest gift. Jung found that unusual personality types tend to have what he referred to as a sacred wound, a profound psychic wound that becomes the wellspring of their energy. Perhaps you were the kid who felt everything too strongly, the one who pierced through family illusions, the one who couldn't keep pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. That hypersensitivity, which made you a target, is the same sensitivity which lets you see what others cannot. That isolation that befell you, it compelled you to create an inner world that was rich enough to harbor you. That not being able to fit in, it held you true in a world that recompenses conformity. Your wound taught you how to see in the dark, and now you can lead other people through their darkness. This is the final alchemical fact. Jung revealed, what breaks us open is what lets light in. What separates us is what makes us special. It's what hurts us that wakes us up. And here's the thing that most folks don't get. Integration of this hurt isn't about healing it away. It's about respecting it as your teacher, your initiator, your sacred scar that declares, I survived that which should have killed me, and now I'm lethal to every lie. This wounded gift makes you a natural healer, not for being perfect, but for being human, not for having overcome pain, but for having transformed it into wisdom. Here we are then, at the moment of truth. You've seen the signs, felt the relief of finally being seen, but acknowledgement isn't change. You can know you're special, and yet spend your whole life faking to be ordinary. Jung put it most eloquently, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. For unusual personality types, this isn't privilege, It's duty, because the world doesn't require another well-adjusted individual. It requires you in all your messy, intense, too much complexity. The way forward is difficult. Others will fight the authentic you. Others will depart. The world will challenge your dedication to authenticity 1,000 times, but something else will occur as well. The correct individuals will reach you. Do what only you can do, will make itself known. Your actual existence, the one hidden under all the masks, will lastly start. Your sensitivity is not weakness. It's a superpower. Your intensity is not too much. It's what is needed. Your refusal to fit in is not a flaw. It's your contribution. The question is, are you ready to own it? If you've read this far, you're not here by chance. Videos such as this do not pick people at random. They find those who are ready to stop hiding, ready to begin living as the person they actually are. This is your invitation to belong to a tribe of uncommon souls who refuse to let their light fade, who opt for depth rather than surface, truth rather than comfort, authenticity rather than approval. Subscribe to this channel immediately, not tomorrow, not someday, now, because this voyage of discovery of your uncommonness is just starting. Each week, we dive deeper into the enigmas Jung revealed, the archetypes that define us, the reality that liberates us. Hit that notification bell as well, because when you're this uncommon, you need regular reminders that you're not alone, not insane, not too much. You need a community that understands you. Leave a comment below. Only 3 words. I am rare. Make them your proclamation, your first move toward visibility. See how many others reply. Your tribe is larger than you believe. And share this video, not with the whole world. They won't get it. Share it with that special someone who you know is wrestling with their intensity, who believes that they're broken because they can't perform shallow, who needs to know that their difference is their gift. Because in an addiction's world of facades, your authenticity isn't just your personal freedom, it's antidote for a world that's dying, and we need you to be precisely who you are. Welcome to your real life. Welcome to your frequency. Welcome home. Remember, you weren't born to fit in, you were born to stand out, and now you know why. See you in the depths.